Today is the day. We're gonna try start it up to see if the engine is really working or, well, you never know. So let's give it a try, but first we're gonna put the trunk seal in place. Let's go. What we're gonna do next is the trunk seal. You can still get this from BMW. It's about, I don't know, 100, 150 euros. I've seen there is cheaper alternatives online, but what I've been reading, they don't fit that well and they're too thick, which means they push the lid up and doesn't really suit the car. But feel free to try them. I might be wrong. So this one is going in around the lid, all the way around, sealing, and I'm gonna attach it with this contact cement, just well, not too much of it into the groove around here, and then let it dry out a little bit and then push the seal down and it will stick. So that's what I'm gonna do, and after that it will be secured for rainwater and everything. First I'm going to test fit it to see that it's in the right position and everything is like correct, so I don't glue something in place which later on doesn't fit properly. It's quite hard to remove this from a used car. I mean, remove a used seal from an old car, because it is glued from beginning and you might end up ripping it apart or something. So it's better to have a new one, fresh one, to avoid water in the trunk and everything along the way, which is quite unpleasant. And there is a groove right here, so it should be on the lip. The metal lip here should swallow this seal quite fine. Yeah, and this is the difference. If you use OEM parts, they fit and they just like they're supposed to be. That's quite nice. I mean, it's gonna be there for a long time. I think this is the last time we replace this one on this car. So it seems like the length is perfect, the thickness is great, and it matches the groove in the car where it's supposed to be. So I think the next thing to do is to put the glue into the groove and then put it there permanently. Make sure it's all the way in, all the way across. Because once it bites, it's impossible to move or remove. once the seal is in place all around, my suggestion is to close the trunk and let it sit into under pressure. Make sure it doesn't lift up anywhere. Like that. Sealed. Now that's great. I'm gonna put the license plate lights in place, the Hella original ones, and cables coming out from underneath. And it's quite common. This is rusty and in bad condition. However, this is refurbished and the whole rear section is replaced, so it should be fresh and nice to put some lights in place here. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now. Personally, I like to go for the 5-watt strong bulb, because if you go for the LED version, it's too bright and too white. It doesn't look correct for the age of the car. So I'll go for the OEM with the OEM look. So it's a warm white effect later on. So that's how I like to go and do. Make sure to get the seal right here so you don't have water coming up where you don't want it. Then I go for the OEM screws and just put them up here. There you go. So we now painted the prop shaft, as you could see, and the outcome is fully acceptable. And now it's time to put this support bearing in place on the drive shaft, and that's mounted on the front part of the prop shaft. And we're gonna put this in the vise without damaging the paint the first thing we do. So I'm gonna remove the tape. And the support bearing is mounted in that direction. It would be logic to have this one facing forward to be like a dust protector instead of this one. But according to the pictures of the drive shaft I found online on a brand new one from BMW, it's actually assembled in that direction. So I don't know if it's actually making any difference. I don't think so. But I'll do like on the photos. And since this is a sealed bearing, it's impossible to, well, it's not recommended to heat it up to increase the diameter. So I think we're gonna just force it on like that. And then to get it in position, you use a pipe with the right dimension. So you can actually knock on the support ring, on this inner ring, to make it slide on. So we're gonna do like that, and we take the pipe, which actually has the right dimension, and we're gonna hit it like that. So the bearings in place, and now we're going to put the other half of the prop shaft in place. So that's next. And actually, to do so, we need to find out the right direction for the joints. And this joint, the one which is welded onto the front part, should be in the opposite of the one in the rear, which means if this one is now in horizontal, the one on this part should be like that, which means it's in the vertical. So that's the right direction of the prop shaft. And we're going to put the nut on. Not tight, but just in place. Gonna have some lube as well. So now we're gonna force this part into this part, and to do so we're gonna find out the location of the joint. So at this point you see the joint is like this, it's shaped like a U lying down horizontally, which means on the front part we should not have this joint in the same way, not like this, but like this, standing up. So the front shaft should be like this, while the rear part is like this. And then we're going to grease this in and slide it together. The rear part of the prop shaft facing the differential is attached with M10 bolts like this. And since it's a special bolt with a very special head, like a half circle or something, self-locking, when it's in place, you don't need to have a wrench or something to lock this place. You can just focus on the nut. I realize I missed 3 of those, so I ordered, and we have a complete set to put in place. And normally they are like, you can slam them with a hammer and they will self-lock into place, which the original one doesn't have for some reason. So, but anyway, they do the same job, so I'm going to attach those, and then we're going to try to put the prop shaft in place on the car. So what I'm doing right now is to attach, trying to force the prop shaft back to the differential. It's easier to be 2, of course, but the aim is to get it attached to the differential so that I don't have to worry about the prop shaft being in the wrong position or being too far forward when you tighten the center bearing and the attachment to the gearbox. So once it's attached to the differential, it's easier to just focus on the center bearing and then the front attachments fully. Now to put the support bearing in place up here. First we need to get the front assembly in place. Like that. Once the center bearing is in place, it's time to put the 3 bolts in place towards the rubber disc on the gearbox. And it's a bit tricky to reach the nut on the backside, but I mean, it's possible if you don't rush it. And once this is done, the prop shaft is connected all the way from front to back. That's nice. It's time to put the front exhaust pipes in place, the down pipes from the exhaust manifolds with the new seals and nuts. And I'm choosing to have this in place when I'm starting up the car in a few days to avoid flames or anything hitting down on inside the engine bay. We can at least lead them in under the car. So this is next step. Yeah, and like you see, I use a copper paste, like grease, copper grease, in order to give the copper nuts a little bit better lubrication once I tighten everything on. And it also helps normally to keep the gasket in place while you're reaching for the downpipe. So just slide the downpipe on. You can put those in one way only and in one order only, otherwise one will block the other while assembly. So it's the front one first normally. Fill up the servo, hydraulics, the power steering and power brake system. I'm using the Dextron 3 oil. It's a kind of an ATF oil for automatic transmission. And I mean, it's not that sensitive system, so you can use whatever ATF oil you can find. It's about 1.2 liters when the system is charged and the accumulator is fully charged. Right now everything is empty, hoses and everything. So I'm gonna pour 1 liter inside, and then I'm gonna fill up extra once I've started the car, because then, yeah, some oil will stay in the hoses and everything. So might be a few deciliters still to compensate for. Yeah, and now I'm connecting the oil cooler to the oil filter housing. And it's important to remember that when cranking the engine over, or even if it's starting, oil will fill up the hoses, fill up the radiator for the oil cooler. And so it's important to frequently check the oil level, because right now it's filled to the recommended level, but there will be losses after the first startup. If you ever work with the M30, at least on the bigger models, like 528, 535 and M5, you will find this stiff nylon hose somewhere in the engine bay, and it's supposed to be connected on the pipe. There is a pipe here underneath the intake manifold, because it's a vacuum suction line, so it will continuously suck air from the cabin. And there is a sensor that's sensing the internal temperature in the cabin, and which the temperature control system then regulates. So this is just to keep air passing through the sensor inside. So it's necessary to have this one, otherwise you will have a poor regulation of the heater inside when you put the temperature heater. And then to start up the car, we're going to connect the wiring loom on the which is like a loom. It's coming from the fuse box over the engine, connecting all the sensors, and then ending up in the control unit, the ECU, in the glove box. So this one goes to the battery for constant plus, and this one goes to the fuse box. So we're going to do that. Connect this one right in here in the connector, like that. Then we're going to put the battery in place and put the positive onto that one. But first we're going to put the connector to the ECU to make that one connected and ready to go. So this is the entrance right under here. Since I have an aftermarket AC control system, or the air condition system installed in this car, this one is here, so it's maybe covering the image a little bit. But this is the connector for the ECU with the different small connectors we also use inside. But we're gonna put this one onto the firewall and then in through the hole down here into the glove box. Like that. Make sure you get everything inside properly. And guide it in. Like that. And we're going to connect the oil pressure sensor. There's a bad connection, so we need to put another one, a new one. And the rest of the connectors we have here. This is for the airflow sensor. This is for the idle control motor. Yeah. Once inside the glove box, the cable is in with the connector. We're going to hook it up. We have another connector down here, which goes to the instrument cluster for the RPM gauge and stuff like that. So we're gonna put this one inside and click it in place. And we're gonna connect the fuel. This is the supply. It's in the back of the rail. The return is in the front where you have the pressure regulator. So we're gonna tighten this clamp to make sure we don't have any fuel spray on the engine. It's a good idea to replace those hoses when you have the chance, so they don't crack or surprise you in any bad way. It's easy to forget the ground wire, so we're going to put that one in place. There is a place here for the ground wire, and the ground wire is very easy to forget when you're up. Focuses on other things. So we're going to do this. If you don't do this, it might be that the starter motor doesn't activate, or if it do activate, it will find its ground through other wires on the engine, which is not suitable for that kind of current, and you will start having cable burnouts. So it's very important to have this one fresh with a good connection to the ground chassis. And the other part of this one goes to the engine mount. So we're going to put it there. Like that. So I'm going to tie it with a nut from top. Final steps before trying to fire it up. A really exciting moment right now to see. Could be very unexciting as well. We don't know yet. We hope for the best, right? This hose coming up here from the intake manifold down here, this is for the idle control motor. It's located looking like this. It's supposed to be inserted to the hose and then inserted to this intake hose, this big one. So we wait with that one a little bit. I'm gonna jerk this on. Then we're gonna take this for the ventilation of the engine. Slide it in like that. Then we're gonna take this one, tweak it in between those two, like that. Make sure you have a sealed connection underneath. Yep. And then we have one connector right here. It's supposed to go onto the idle control motor, like that. Click. To be sure that we have no leakage of air here, I'm gonna tighten this clamp. Then we have airflow meter. This always on the direction where the this lever is actually opening in the direction of the flow, airflow, which is into the engine, so it should be like that. So it's, well, pretty much upside down on this kind of engine. This is later on being assembled on the rail here together with the air box for the air filter and stuff like that. But right now we're just trying to start up, so we're gonna do a little bit of temporarily solution. It's a good idea to have a hose clamp here as well, because if the engine would backfire, you don't want to shoot this out of the room. So it's a good idea to tighten it up a little bit so it's in place, even though if it's a backfire. The engine has never been started, so we don't know still what to expect. And the connector for the airflow meter, just click it in like that. Another thing that will help you start the car, of course, is the ignition coil. So we're going to put that one in place, and this is the right location for it. So we're going to put this here and then connect the cables and the ignition line. And these is impossible to put them in the wrong place because they have different size. So the bigger one is for the positive, right there. And the smaller one, of course, is on the other side. $10mm wrench and 8mm. Then we take the ignition cable, put it in place. Before we can do anything else with the car, we need to put the battery in place as well. And it's tight, but it is possible. So we're gonna make a try. Yeah, there it's in position. And this is to clamp the battery in place. I managed to find a new old stock here in a drawer. So that's really good. I don't know if it's able to buy anymore, but it's easy to manufacture one of those. It's an M6 screw with a bracket to keep the battery down. There it is. Then we have a positive, and on the positive cable there should be one extra one to go to the fuse box. The relay is on the side for direct supply, and there is another one, a red one, going to the ABS all the way into the glove box. So those two need to be attached together with the positive. So time to actually put some fuel in the car to make sure that there is some fresh gasoline. I have no idea how old the remaining or how much it actually is inside. So we're gonna add a 12-liter to make sure that we have working fuel so the car can ignite. Everything's connected, and been checking everything one extra time since I'm missing one of the attachments here. I'm using this clamp just to make sure that we can use the pedal to give it some throttle. new fuses in the fuse box, and everything seems to be connected. So let's hope for the best. So Tim,
yep,
do the honors.
Okay.
So I switched position in the crank sensor or this flywheel sensors. So we'll try again. Okay, so far there is no spark on the cylinders. So when I put a spark plug in this socket and I put it to ground, there is no spark. So we don't get anything from the distributor here. But I'll show you a trick. If you do work with this kind of cars and you wonder, is it the sensors in the gearbox? Is it the control unit? What is wrong? Is it an old alarm system in the car that messed things up? Well, there is one way to find out if the control system and everything in the wiring is correct or not, and you have the problem inside the distributor and the rotor. That is to take the ignition cable from the coil, this ignition coil, you take it directly like this and you put a spark plug in it. Then you put this one to ground like that, put it in a spot like that, and then I actually had in the diagnostic socket I put between pin 11 and 14 there is a possibility to put a switch. I made a switch like this, so I can push this button and control the starter motor. So this is a way, 11 and 14, and you can remotely run the starter motor. So you can be outside at the engine looking if you have a spark without sitting behind the steering wheel doing it. So if I do like this, there is a spark. So we do have a spark from the ignition coil, which means that the firing electrics from the car control system, like the ECU, the sensors in the gearbox and everything, that's doing its job. Everything is fine. So that means we do lead the ignition from the coil to the distributor cap like this. But when I try this, there is no spark, which means we do have the problem inside here. I've already checked, the timing is okay, the engine is in the right position, everything is fine, the rotor is in the right position when it's supposed to be, and the wiring is the right one for the cylinders. So the problem is in the rotor or the distributor cap. Yet again, I had this problem twice now and I'm quite fed up with it. So I already ordered a distributor cap and a rotor, so today there is no firing up. So, well, what do you know? Not always things go as planned. However, we did narrow it down to the distributor cap and the rotor, and new ones are on the way. So hopefully within a few days, give it a take, a week maybe, there will be an episode when this baby is shouting loud. So that's the aim. And yeah, so stay tuned, and I'll see you soon again. All right, see ya.